Hi and welcome to Hansoft. My name is Ebba, and in this video we're going to talk about a model for scaling agile development. Many large development organizations are today choosing to go through full-blown enterprise-level changes to become more agile. When these companies plan and design their new organization, they seek inspiration from various large-scale agile models or frameworks. One of the more frequent models we see being used as inspiration for the design of enterprise-level agile is the Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe, which has been developed by Dean Leffingwell. You can learn more about the framework itself from Leffingwell's webpage at www.scaledagileFramework.com. In this video, I will demonstrate a Hansoft setup which is inspired by Leffingwell's model, and to have it make sense, it will require that you are somewhat familiar with the basics of SAFe. So, Leffingwell talks about 3 levels in the Scaled Agile framework: the team level, program level, and the portfolio level. So the idea is that several teams are working jointly in a program, delivering to a common release schedule or release train. The work being executed within the program or within several programs originates from strategic investment decisions in the format of business epics or architectural epics that are being managed on a portfolio level. I will start guiding you through an example of the setup from the portfolio level. This is our portfolio level backlog with a long list of business epics and architectural epics. The business epics are large, customer-oriented initiatives that are meant to deliver new products, solutions, or services. The architectural epics are large-scale technology initiatives, and they're there to ensure that our system also in the future will meet the needs we're going to have. It's common that a role like the main system architect or someone is responsible for these things. So you can see that here I've delegated this section to the portfolio backlog to him. In a similar fashion, we've delegated control over the business epics part of the backlog to the portfolio manager. And maybe this area will be split into more responsibility areas in reality. The emerging and the status of these business and architectural epics can be tracked and overviewed using a Kanban. The Kanban systems for the business epics and the architectural epics are separate systems, but they operate in a similar manner. At the highest level, the Kanban steps for both types of epics are funnel, backlog, analysis, and implementation. In this setup that we're using, you can choose to look at the business and the architectural epics separately, like this. Or you can choose to see everything at the same time. This funnel here is generally a queue for big business ideas, and this can come from any source. At this point, they do not have a business case or an estimate or anything. The effort to have an epic in this stage is minimal, so as you can see, we do not have any work in progress limit at this stage. The portfolio management go through the epics in the funnel on a regular basis, and if they find that they meet the decision criteria, they are promoted to the backlog. In the backlog state, the epics are given a rough estimate in terms of size and value and maybe cost of delay. And the top epics from the queue will be pulled into analysis phase as soon as there is space there. At this analysis stage, a business analyst is generally assigned, and at this stage you'll also start discussing with the product management and the key stakeholders about what impact the epic will have on the development backlogs. So this phase is quite effort intensive, so it will have a work in progress limit that reflects both the capacity of analysts and primarily the desired throughput you want to have from analysis to implementation. Here in the transfer from analysis to implementation, this is where the responsibility for the epic is handed over from the portfolio level to the development programs. In my case, you can see that I have one portfolio defined here. This is the one that we've been looking at. But I also have these two development programs, which in this case represent two different products. This implementation is Work in Progress Limited, which is based on the capacity of the development organization. So at this stage, it should be clear what consequences the execution of the epic will have for the actual product development. One of these epics may result in new feature development within one or more of the development programs that we're working with. In our solution here, we have created soft links between all these epics and the areas in the program backlogs where they generate a consequence. If I hover over these post-its with my mouse, you'll see the link displayed on the post-it, and at any point I can just right-click and choose Go to Link. I will get a selection of all the links to the different parts of the program backlog, and I can just choose one of them here. So now we find ourselves in the program backlog of the Galactica program. The Galactica program is quite big, and many teams will work jointly to finish this. As you can see, we have structured all the user story in the backlog in a logical hierarchy. At the highest level, this backlog is structured in product areas. And within each product area, you have different features. Within the features, you have feature areas. And these feature areas also correspond to responsibility areas. So these sections will be delegated to the product or the process owner that are responsible for working here. Let's leave the backlog for a while and look at the plan and the release train for this program. At the very top in the planning view, we'll find our releases laid out in time. We are in the middle of working towards release 6 here, so we can see our actual burn down here and a projection of how things could go in the future. This program, we do not only want to track progress on a release level, but also on a feature level. So if I just scroll down a bit here, we'll find our feature burn downs right underneath. If we scroll down further, I'll find the sprint schedules of all the Scrum teams that are working jointly to deliver to this release train. As you can see, the sprints are synced, so they all will happen in parallel. At the bottom, we also find that we have one team working in traditional scheduling down here, and their efforts are also tracked against the same releases as everyone else. The sprints we're looking at here are the first 5 sprints delivering to release 7. And since these are future sprints, nothing has yet been committed to them. However, given that there are loads of teams working jointly on the content here, there may be loads of dependencies between the teams' backlogs. And there has been some initial planning done in the release planning phase for what is going to be worked on in what sprint. So we're going to look at a plan, and for that we'll have to navigate back to the program backlog. And now I will choose to look at the program backlog in a board view instead. So here we have each team represented in a different row, and the columns we see are the sprints that are lined out. And again, these things are not committed. It's just our current best thinking of when things will be done. We have lots of stuff in this backlog, so we'll have to make good use of the zooming capabilities here just to get the right balance between detail and overview. I'm also using a color coding to differentiate between feature development, some automation work, design, structural depth, etc., etc. You'll probably also need to use the find functionality here to find easy answers to your questions. For example, I can choose to filter out everything here with a high priority. Can also look at the things that relate to work in feature 1. So we can see that we have 2 teams that are jointly working on feature 1, so they may have to sort out dependencies between them. On my menu bar up here, you see that I have created a number of reports to help me answer my key questions like, what is the status for our ongoing release? Here we can also see what is in risk of being scoped out if we won't make it in time. We also have a report for our future release plan, so we can see what features are included in releases that we plan in the far future here. So now we looked at the main setup for the portfolio and the program level. Let's see how the teams can work. The lowest level in our hierarchical structure in the backlog correspond to the responsibility area of a team. So here we see that this section, we've delegated edit and rewrite control of these sections to Team Jupiter. So they're responsible for this and also this part. Let's switch over to the Hansoft account of a developer, Eric, from Team Jupiter, so we can see how his experience of this program backlog will look like. Eric will, per default, only be able to see the part of the program backlog that has been delegated to him. So from the backlog, the team can, during the sprint planning session, commit user stories from the backlog to their upcoming sprint by just dragging and dropping them like this. The team will, just like a normal Scrum team, break down the user stories to tasks, and they will likely choose to work from them from the board view. Here they can sign up for new things and then work with them from their to-do list. If Eric wants to signal an issue here, he will just set this item to blocked. And if we trace back through the hierarchy now, we will once again see how everything is connected here. The task is blocked. This is going to make the whole user story blocked. And you can see this from the sprint backlog as well as from the product backlog. The feature area will also signal this impediment. And finally, from the portfolio level, we can also see that this feature is blocked. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and let us know if you have any questions at all.